After 8 long years of European and Japanese influence, a new era dawns for touring car racing in this country. Gone are the turbo Sierras, silver-top Volvos and four-wheel drive Nissans. In their place, the normally aspirated 5-litre V8s of General Motors and Ford. Sharing the spotlight with Falcon and Commodore will be BMW's amazing little M3, while in the 2-litre class, Team Toyota are first off the mark. The cast of 93 is most impressive. World champions Alan Jones and Wayne Gardner have the best of rides, while Peter Brock buckles up for his silver anniversary year. Past champions Dick Johnson, Jim Richardson, Mark Scaife are ready. And so too the young guns, Glenn Seaton, Tony Longhurst and Neil Crompton. The 7 Network welcomes viewers across Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Europe, South Africa, the United States and Southeast Asia to Sydney's Amaroo Park Raceway. It's round 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championships, proudly brought to you by Shell. To our vast viewing audience, it's hello and welcome to Sydney's Amaroo Park Raceway and of course round 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. The dawning of a new era certainly as far as V8 5-litre racing is concerned in the 90s here in Australia, and we have a lot of the world watching to see how the formula pans out. But so far, Alan Moffat, the indications are excellent.
They are, Mike. This is much more than just a blast from the past. We've got all the refinements of Group A racing as we've come to know it, and good, strong V8 5-litre engines, 13 cars within a 1-second bracket. We haven't seen that in a long time.
We certainly haven't. Yesterday, of course, in qualifying, as Alan said, Thomas Mazera led the pole shuffle. He was on pole. Glenn Seaton's second fast time in the Peter Jackson Falcon, followed by Alan Jones, his teammate. Dick Johnson, the first of the Shell Falcons, followed by his teammate John Bower. Then, of course, Mark Scaife in the Winfield Holden. And, of course, this year is a new championship formula where drivers can actually pick up points. 3 points for the fastest qualifier yesterday, Thomas Mazera. Today, of course, it's the Peter Jackson Dash to get proceedings underway. 3 points to the winner there, 2 for second, 1 for third. And of course, there are 2 heat races, 1 for 5 litres, 1 for 2, that carry 9 down to 1 points. And of course, in the big main event, over 28 laps here today, 20 go to the winner down to 10th spot. That, of course, is 1 point. So it pays to be very, very consistent here.
It will. Preparation will mean a lot, and the 2-car teams that have the ability to really finesse their situation, get their mechanical aspects just right, will be perfect.
Well, as we said, the turn of a card for the Peter Jackson Dash can change many things. Thomas Mazera and all the drivers pulling out the cards yesterday. Alan Jones, pole position. And I tell you what, he could be one to look at as the field comes out now for the Peter Jackson Dash. The Peter Jackson Dash, 3 laps. And the booming V8s come along the back straight here at Amaroo Park Raceway. Let's look at the lineup for the Dash. Pole position has gone to Alan Jones and the Peter Jackson Racing Falcon. Alongside him on the grid will be Thomas Mazera. Out of position number 3 inside second row, Dick Johnson. His partner in that row will be Glenn Seaton. Out of 5, 1 Mark Scaife, the Winfield Commodore, and 6 John Bower, the Shell Falcon EB. And here they come along looking for the pace car to pull off the racetrack. A rolling start for the Peter Jackson Dash. Plenty of space between those front running 3 rows as they come off the pit turn. In for the start, it'll be a slow start. Pace car pulls off, they're ready to go racing. And it's Alan Jones up on the inside of Mark Scaife, poked his nose up, but got it shut down very, very quickly indeed by Dickie Johnson. John Bower looking for the inside of him in the back row. That'll give Scaife the lie for the next turn on the inside, and he tries to get across there. 1 inch strife is Glenn Seaton, gone very, very wide there. 3 abreast coming through here, and then it's Seaton down on the inside of John Bower going after Scaife. Heading to the downhill run here at Amaroo Park Raceway. Thomas Mazera getting through to take the lead, and down on the inside comes Jonesy and Dick Johnson the outside. How close are they as they come out of Sutton's corner?
Yep.
And down to the right-hander at the lake?
Well, there's bits of bodywork missing already as they come out of that turn down to stop corner for the first time. Thomas Mazera still locks them out as we take Dunlop race cam. Dick Johnson looking very seriously down the outside of the HRT Commodore as they come onto the pit straight for the second time. Fantastic scrap this for the Peter Jackson Dash for cash. Watch for Mark Scaife. He was the guy who was quickest here Friday and Saturday, and I'm sure he wants to get up at the front bit for the start today.
Well, he's not in it yet, Mark.
He's certainly not, Alan. He's made a move there. He's up to 4th, though. That'll put him on the second row if he can hold that. In the meantime, though, Jonesy has drifted back into third. There's Scaife in the Winfield number 1 car. Out of the loop and heading onto the back straight. Mazera doing a great job here. Certainly one of the sport's most underrated drivers, but boy, is he under some pressure here from Dick Johnson.
A little bit tight on brakes. He's taking it easy on brakes. Doesn't want his tires to lock up. Got to remember these tires have got to be used in both heats later the day. So these fellas are trying to look after their tires. But Dick Johnson did a nice move there, and he is. No, he's not fooling around. He's letting Mazera know he's there.
And look
a tap,
Scaife.
reasonable racing tap.
Scaife to third as they come across the line now. 1 lap to go. Thomas Mazera, the race leader. Dick Johnson, Mark Scaife, the biggest mover in the pack, from position number 6 now to third. Been able to pass Alan Jones, who sat on pole. He's got Glenn Seaton behind him, and John Bowe started 6, and that's where he's running. Dunlop loop for the final time. Scaife doing this very, very comfortably. That is no mean feat to start off row number 3 here on Australia's tightest and twistiest racetrack. Downhill to the left-hander at Sutton's Corner. Mazera, how close can Johnson get?
No closer.
Johnson putting plenty of pressure on Thomas Mazera there. Thomas has already lost a bit of bodywork, but that won't slow him down. We are looking strongly at a Falcon and Holden front row. If Johnson can hang on to this second place under intense pressure from Mark Scaife as they come onto the start finish line for the last time.
Last corner coming up, and Thomas Mazera is going to have 6 championship points. He comes across the line. Johnson takes second. Scaife is third, followed by Alan Jones, Glenn Seaton, and John Bowe, as I said, started 6, and that's exactly where he finished. I would think a delighted Thomas Mazera and Holden Racing Team. And let's go down to Andy Raymond with the Trophy Dash winner.
Thanks, Mike, and a first-up win for the pole sitter here. Thomas Mazera, you must be wrapped.
I'm very happy. Like, I had a pole yesterday and I earned it, and now Alan missed the gear up to the hill on the first lap, and that was all over, I thought. But we left the car sort of very low on fuel, and I ran out of fuel out of one of the slow corners, and I had to put the reserve pumps on, and that's where Dick sort of gave me a bit of a bump. And, you know, sorry to Dick, I didn't brake test him or something. He just ran out of fuel.
We saw 3 laps of action. There was a lot of bar bending going on, a lot of panel beating going on. Is that what we can look forward to throughout the season?
I bet you, and we're going to beat those Fords.
Go. And welcome back to Sydney's Amaroo Park Raceway. The roar of the great V8s as they come onto the racetrack now at Amaroo for their 5-litre heat here this afternoon. Fantastic crowd, biggest crowd we've seen at Amaroo Park for, I don't know for how many years. Just fabulous to see. Here's the lineup. Thomas Mazera out of winning the Peter Jackson Dash. Of course, starts out of pole position. Dick Johnson out of position number 2. Mark Scaife and the Winfield Commodore from 3. Alan Jones from 4. And Glenn Seaton from position number 5. From 6, it's John Bowe. 7th is Wayne Gardner. 8th, Jimmy Richards. 9th, Larry Perkins. And 10th is Peter Brock. Not a bad top 10, eh? From 11, it's Neil Crompton and the GIO Commodore, followed by Tony Longhurst and the Benson & Hedges BMW, then Trevor Ashby, Terry Finnegan. Bob Pearson starts out of 15 in the Product Commodore. From 16, Paul Morris. 17, it's Jeff Bull. 18, John Blanchard. 19 is Chris Smurden. And out of 20, Bob Jones in the Ampol Commodore VP. Well, Thomas Mazera on pole and Wayne Gardner back there in the pack, starting from position number 7. I guess it would be a fairly hectic day for HRT team manager Neil Lowe, who's down in pit lane with Andy Raymond. As we take race cam in the Peter Brock car, the mobile race cam, Brocky lining up. 48th birthday 2 days ago, and Peter Brock starting his silver anniversary season of competition. Thomas Mazera moves up now. Now Dickie Johnson. Fairly warm day, Alan Moffat. It's going to be hard on tyres.
The tyres will come into it for sure. Not as hot as it has been on occasions in the past, Mike, but definitely hot enough to be a bother and hot inside those cars.
BMW's more inclined to play a role in the later race and not the early race.
I think they need distance to help them, but the preparation we've seen on the whole field has been of such a high standard this year that everybody's in with a chance.
Hope you enjoy the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, the 5-litre heat from Sydney's Amaroo Park. And Thomas Mazera gets off the line. Johnson is sideways. Scaife goes up the inside route. We'll try and separate them before they make it to the top of the hill. And John Bowe on the outside, getting the crunch up to the top of the hill. Listen to the crowd as they dive now into Dunlop Loop. And here they come. Mazira's gone wide. Johnson now up on the inside. Scaife moves to second. Then coming up on the inside of them was Alan Jones, followed by Glenn Seaton. Boy, we've seen 3 positional changes. They haven't even done half a lap yet. They're running to the downside, and here comes Mark Scaife sitting in behind Dick Johnson as they make their way to the bottom of the hill.
Forward, Holden, forward as they swing through the bottom of the circuit for the first time. A fantastic start, 4 wide as they came up the hill. You saw John Bowe get pushed off in the dust as they come up the hill. Exciting stuff in the opening lap of this 11-lapper.
Well, Dick Johnson showed us in the Dash for Cash this morning that he meant business. You can still see the dint on his front bumper bar where he was harassing Mazira. I don't know what happened to Mazira on the opening lap. He must have gone wide through Dunlop Loop, but whatever it was, it's cost him dearly.
They get to the top of Bitchapave Hill and work to the right-hander at Dunlop Loop, and Mark Scaife is the boy on the move in Winfield number 1 car, trailing Dick Johnson. Johnson in the shell. Falcon gets it sideways on the exit to that turn. And here comes Scaife up on the inside. Johnson shuts off the option.
Not the right part of the track to try and pass Mike. He hasn't got the distance. He needs to be closer and a better position to be able to make a move like that. That's the fastest corner on the circuit, that right-hander, and certainly not the place to be actually executing a maneuver like that, not with Dick Johnson, the man you're trying to pass.
Thomas Mazira started on pole, has gone back to 5th, and Wayne Gardner behind him as they come across the line. Just look at these V8s using all of the racetrack over our speed camera.
See Johnson's car snap sideways there under power as he drifted onto the front straight. These things are really moving around this circuit. Mark Scaife has been the fast guy Friday and Saturday. Mucked up qualifying yesterday, but boy, he's really on the pace and race trim.
The only way, I guess you could say he mucked it up, he came out way too late. And the track was still full of cars and he couldn't get a fair shot at it. At the moment, we've got a Ford sandwich working on Mark Scaife. We've got Dick Johnson at the head of the field. Mark Scaife in second spot. Glenn Seaton and the Peter Jackson Falcon, followed by John Bowe. Next is Thomas Mazira, and then Wayne Gardner sits right in behind his teammate. He's been separated by Alan Jones, Jim Richards, Neil Crompton and the GIO Commodore, Peter Brock, and Terry Finnegan in the Foodtown Commodore.
Keep in mind too, these 5-litre V8 racing, this is going to be an intense tyre war throughout 1993, and already it's starting to happen. We've got the Dunlop Shot Falcon at the front, the Yokohama car second, and the Bridgestone Falcon third.
Heading to the top of the hill again, Mark Scaife. And there's Glenn Seaton, the Peter Jackson EV Falcon. Didn't get away to the best of starts. Scaife uses a little of our agricultural land there on the inside of the circuit. Johnson very taily as he gets to the exit of Dunlop Loop and really working the tyres.
He's throwing it, like he's driving it hard. He knows he's got the lead. He certainly doesn't have to have any problem understanding that. But he knows he's got Mark Scaife behind him, and he's trying to make every inch of the road a winner. He is throwing it around. These cars now with 12-inch wide rims, a very nice rim for the tire, and these fellows can get in it and go from the word go. It was one of the biggest features when the formula was announced. That, at last, we've got some tires on the car. We don't have to nurse them lap after lap. We can get in and do what we like doing, and that's drive them hard. Dick Johnson's doing that right now.
He certainly is. Johnson leads them over the top and down into Dunlop Loop again, the 17 car, followed by Mark Scaife. Next, of course, is Glenn Seaton as we take our special Apollo race cam, courtesy of the Sydney Holden Dealer Network. This is from the tail of the GIO Commodore. Neil Crompton driving. He's gone a little wide there, and as you can see, there's Terry Finnegan up on the inside. Crompton running in 10th spot. There he is, beautifully turned out Bob Forbes race car. Running for GIO, Terry Finnegan, and of course the Ashby Reed Dulux Auto Colour machine right behind him. Larry Perkins and the Castrol Commodore. Gee, are they having a fierce battle. And they're back running 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th. Up front, Dickie Boy from Queensland just gives the arm car a bit of a shuffle as he brings her up the front straight.
Back door handle got a rub there.
And I guess, Alan Moffat, that's a fair indication of just how physical these cars are to drive. They've got big wings and things on them, but as John Bowe told me yesterday, they do still move around a hell of a lot on the racetrack.
Still requires a lot of energy, and these drivers will be getting so hot with the bonnet heat, under bonnet heat, the exhaust pipes coming through the car. They'll come out of the cars looking like, well, I was going to say roosters, but I think turkeys would probably be more to the point. Extremely hot.
Glenn Seaton, I notice, Alan, has started to just pull up marginally on Mark Scaife at this stage.
Glenn's got a very nice handling car, Mike. I think he's didn't, as you mentioned before, didn't quite get the best of starts, but he's certainly able to capitalize on the race, and he's sneaking up ever so slowly onto Scaife's bumper bar, and I think he's just pacing himself at whatever time Dick is doing.
Can you believe it? We've already reached half race distance. This has been fabulous stuff. 5 to go. Just cocking the back wheel up over the top of the ripple strip on the way to Dunlop Loop. Here's Glenn Seaton again. Alan's made a correct point there, just how nicely the car sits on the racetrack. He sits in behind Mark Scaife, who's been the big mover. I've mentioned that earlier today. Freddie Gibson and his Winfield team have done a marvellous job preparing their cars. There's John Bowe going through. Next you'll find is our pole sitter, Thomas Mazera. Mazera might get a little luck out of this in that he made a poor start, but he'll get the pole back for the integrated final later this afternoon. They should have 4 laps to go the next time across the strike. Dickie Johnson of Queensland. John Bowe, his teammate, then Thomas Mazera coming through. Alan Jones is next, followed by Wayne Gardner.
Well, whatever mistake Thomas made on the opening lap, he'll certainly put that in the memory bank. He won't want a repeat of that. He had an excellent run here yesterday to get pole position and did well in the dash as well, not to lose the front row, and to not be able to capitalize on that position. He's going to be kicking himself.
We take our Dunlop race cam. We're riding on the roof of Dick Johnson's Falcon EB as he heads down to the left-hander. Just watch the car as the acceleration out of here. Neil Lowe, as I said earlier, has got a pretty tough old day with Thomas Mazera starting in pole, and Wayne Gardner with his first initiation to Australian touring car racing. Let's go down to Andy Raymond, who's with Neil Lowe.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. I guess it was a lot happier for Neil Lowe before the race. Not the ideal start for Thomas.
No, obviously there's a bit of a problem over the top of the hill. But I think this track is so tight and the racing is so close that one little mistake and you lose 4 or 5 places.
Okay, Neil Lowe talking with Andy Raymond there in the pits as we go back to the action. We were talking of Thomas Mazera, and there he is. Car number 15. He's tailing John Bowe in the number 18 Shell Falcon as Dick continues. Just a little bit of sideways movement as he brings the power on.
You see Dick's really throwing this car around, getting quite sideways coming out of the corners. Mark Scaife will have a bird's eye view of what's happening with that Falcon in the lead. And Glenn Seaton continually filling up the mirrors of the Winfield Commodore. I must admit, I'm really impressed with the way they've got the technical equation right here, Alan. The Falcon, obviously a heavier, bigger car than the Commodore, but very evenly matched in performance.
Yes, it's quite strange that the very opening race of a new formula, we should have such competitive racing. Normally this takes 3 or 4 seasons to perfect.
Yeah, we got it in one heat here today, and I tell you what, Scaife is starting to make moves like he wants to win this one. And Glenn Seaton closing it up on the inside, and the Falcon EB for Peter Jackson. They come out of there, they've got about 1.5 laps remaining.
You can see Scaife is actually holding Glenn up. Glenn's got his taillights on well and truly through that corner. That means, you know, his foot's not on the gas. He probably could be doing a bit of left-right foot driving, but by the same token, I think he had a good chance of trying to get further past the Winfield car than he did.
Don't tell Walt Murray that. They come out of the bottom corner now. They work the short straight away. They'll have 1 lap to go. And the first V8 5-litre heat for the touring cars in the Shell Australian Championship. Dickie Johnson, car number 17 from Queensland, leads from Mark Scaife in the Winfield Holden Commodore. Third, Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon EB, followed by John Bowe. So you've got the Ford muscle cars working over Mark Scaife at the moment as Johnson guns it out of Dunlop Loop. He might even be able to lap 1 car inside the distance. He's coming up on one of them. Seaton is very, very close to the tail of Mark Scaife, and John Bowe coming out like gangbusters. Here's Johnson down on the inside now.
I think John Bowe's probably playing a very clever game of chess here. Keep in mind these cars have got to do another 28-lap race on the same set of tyres.
Keep them nice and cool.
I think John Bowe's doing the right thing.
Well, they said this formula was looking back into the future. Don't you believe it? Last corner is coming up. The crowd are standing as one as Dick Johnson of Queensland wins the first 5-litre heat. The V8s are back. Second spot goes to the Commodore of Mark Scaife. Third, a great third to Glenn Seaton and the Peter Jackson Falcon, and fourth to another Falcon, that of John Bowe, the second of the Shell team machines. Well, that has whet an appetite or two. Johnson the winner for Shell. The crowd think that is fabulous. Mark Scaife places in second, Glenn Seaton third, John Bowe fourth, and Thomas Mazzera finishes in fifth.
And going into the history books, Dickie Johnson, the first win in the new era.
I'll tell you what, Andy, it feels damn good, I can tell you. It's been a long time between drinks.
You just spoke to John Bowe when he came up to the car. You said that was bloody fantastic.
It certainly was. You know, the only problem we got is the fact that the track is breaking up over in that corner over there, and it's like ice going through there. I nearly lost it once. And the fact that it's like having the heater on from 8, like it's fine. The car feels really good.
A beautiful sight. Full house, Amaroo Park Raceway at rural Annangrove near Sydney. The Shell flags are flying, and why wouldn't it be? It's round number 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Today's final race, 28 laps, approximately 25 minutes in duration around here. Let's take a look at the top 10, how they line up. Thomas Mazzera on pole in the Whole of Racing Team Commodore VP, alongside of him Dick Johnson and the Shell Falcon. Then Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore VP, followed by Alan Jones and the Peter Jackson Falcon, and Glenn Seaton, his team partner, in car number 30. Proposition number 6, car number 18, John Bowe, the second of the Shell Falcon EBs. Out of position 7 and 16, Wayne Gardner will watch him in the HRT Commodore. Then it's Jimmy Richards, car number 2, the Winfield Commodore VP, and followed by Larry Perkins, the Castrol Commodore, out of 9, and Peter Brock in 05, the Mobile 1 Commodore, starting out of position number 10. That's the top 10 lineup here today. Back in 11 is Neil Crompton in the GIO Commodore, followed by Tony Longhurst, the Benson and Hedges BMW. He'll start out of position 12 as we take our Dunlop roof cam on Dick Johnson's car. Some great picks today from Amaroo Park Raceway, our track cam and race cams. So Dick and Thomas Mazzera to square off. They had a little chat after the...
Little tiff in the...
A little tiff earlier today after Thomas, I think, took exception, felt that he'd been hit from behind by Dick. There's our new Apollo race cam, seeing is believing, thanks to the Sydney Holden Dealer Network. Neil Crompton driving for Bob Forbes Racing. As we zero in on the field, the last of the cars coming into line now. 10 seconds away from the V8 Thunder. There's Dickie Johnson in the Shell 17 and Thomas Mazzera the front row. Keep an eye on Mark Scaife out of row 2. Light those tyres, the V8s are off and running. Dick Johnson trying to get up the inside, but Mark Scaife has played the best game so far. He's shadowing Thomas Mazzera. There's Glenn Seaton up on the inside, and probably Thomas has got another bump before they get to the top of the hill. What will Dunlop Loop bring us? It'll bring us Mazzera in front. Scaife trying to play the enforcer. Johnson down the inside of him, the 2 Peter Jackson Falcons. Exciting, you betcha. They come out of Dunlop corner.
Well, there's one off in the dust there.
I thought that may have been Jim Richards. No, it's not.
No, it must have been Mark Scaife, as Jim was further back in the pack. So Scaife's gone really wide. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. He's back 10 in the pack. He's got all sorts of damage. No, that's number 2. That's Jim Richards.
So Richards and Scaife's back behind him. I don't know whether they came together or not, but it happened on the exit to Dunlop Loop. Now that has given Thomas Mazzera a break over Dickie Johnson, Glenn Seaton, Alan Jones there in it, then John Bowe, Larry Perkins is there. Great start from Peter Brock.
Well, Larry Perkins, as he went past the Castrol Commodore, the front of that VL is all damaged as well, so I suspect the contact was between Larry and Jim, although we'll find out after the race. Very close stuff on the first lap around. Bowe leads them across in second position. The 2 Peter Jackson cars, Dick Johnson back in 5th position. So Thomas Mazzera taking off where he left off in qualifying. Plenty of speed from the HRT Commodore this weekend.
And there's Peter Brock sitting on the tail of Larry Perkins. Thomas Mazzera, car number 15.
He got a great start, Mike. He fluffed the opening lap in the first heat, but he got a great start there. Johnson fluffed the start, cost him dearly up the hill on the first lap, and it's given Mazzera just a nice cushion to be able to take advantage of that fresh air in front of him. He's certainly going to do that lap after lap.
So it's Mazzera, Bowe, first the Peter Jackson cars, Alan Jones, Glenn Seaton in 4th position, Dick Johnson in 5th, and the Holden showing a major speed advantage in a straight line.
Let's have a look at what happened off the starting line. There's Thomas Mazzera getting away. Johnson grabs another gear. There goes Scaife. Up on the inside comes Alan Jones. Then on the inside it's John Bowe. All of them race up to the top of the hill. There's Glenn Seaton just moving across on Dick Johnson as they head up into the top corner. Now we'll see what happens. They dive down into the right-hander.
Now at this stage, Scaife is up there in second position. Now, yeah, well,
Missed that.
by the look of that, it was Scaife who went wide.
Yeah.
And Larry Perkins back behind this group. He's got smoke pouring out of the car, and Johnson also has some smoke pouring out of his outside rear.
Johnson's in big trouble here. There's been plenty of body contact in these two opening laps. John Bow, the clean of the shell cars, he's in second place. Jones sitting watching brief in third. Glenn Seaton, his teammate, in fourth. Now Johnson, this smoke really is starting to billow. That tyre's starting to get chopped out.
He won't have any difficulty smelling that. He'll be a worried boy. It's coming into the cab, and he'll be wondering just how far he can go. He'll know, of course, how hard he hit the car, and experience does give these fellas a chance, but bodywork has been going left, right, and center here all day long. I can't see that tire lasting 28 laps.
Well, as we take our Dunlop race cam, there's Dick at work in the cockpit. The smoke you'll see is at the back of the car. They're coming off the outside.
There's Larry Perkins.
I think Larry has been discarding bodywork for the last lap and a half, and he has called it quits in the Castrol Commodore. He has a similar problem perhaps to Dick Johnson.
Well, there's been plenty of fisticuffs going on. We've got broken up bodywork just sitting at the front of our commentary position. The debris flags are out, so there's rubbish all over the track. It's pretty rough stuff in these opening laps.
Well, Dick doesn't seem to be worried about that tire. I mentioned he'll know how hard he hit.
Now, Larry Perkins, it looks like there's a bit of smoke coming out of there, Alan.
He's got a fire, the black smoke.
Larry's digging into there to get his fire extinguisher out. He's going to look after it himself. Here comes the fire marshal as well, quickly on the scene. So hopefully Larry can get this put out before too much substantial damage is done to the Castrol Commodore.
It's quite amazing, you know, starting from pole position here at Amaroo Park Raceway. Thomas Mazera has done that. But the only man ever to win an Australian Touring Car Championship race from pole position at this track is my co-commentator Alan Moffat, and that goes back to 1977, the year he was Australian champion. So it's been against most of the guys since, Alan.
Thank you very much, Max. Well, he's done a nice job. He's worked hard for the Holden Racing team. Thomas Mazera, not as lucky as he should have been perhaps over the last couple of seasons, but I think Holden are here with a vengeance this season. They've got Wayne Gardner to back him up, and really a reinvigorated Holden Racing team.
Well, Yokohama, the Winfield Commodore, I think of Mark Scaife. They've been discarding bodywork as well. Just in front of our commentary box, they've got half of the front spoiler has fallen off last time they went by. Thomas Mazera, meantime, continues to lead. John Bowers in a very safe second spot. And remember what Alan said earlier. Well, there's our commentary box. That's what's sitting directly opposite. They haven't got a chance to get to it. Now they do, when the traffic has a break.
I think these fellas are going to go back to steel bumper bars. Like the way this plastic stuff is coming off, they're not going to want to keep doing that race after race.
Very expensive.
So Mazera opens up a 2-second gap over Bow. Two Peter Jackson cars holding station third and fourth. Johnson still hanging on in fifth with that smoke billowing to the back tyre. Neil Crompton trying to make a push through the field.
Terry Finnegan, there's Tony Longhurst going through. Terry Finnegan has been outstanding. He hasn't been up the front of the field, but in the Foodtown Commodore, he and Crompton have been having a great race as Johnson goes off. Tyre has popped. So Dick Johnson, the Dunlop race cam, and there it is. It finally popped.
Absolute dust cloud coming across. You can see Dick's had a fairly exciting ride across the top of the hill there. Keep in mind these cars are hitting the hill at about 200 kilometres an hour, so if a tyre has gone, there would have been a very hairy ride for Dick. He's annoyed, as you would expect on the debut.
Let's have a look at the replay, what actually happened. There's Dick. He's lost it as they've gone over the top at Bitchapave Hill, and he's just ploughed up the infield here at Amaroo Park, bringing the car to a stop out of harm's way, but it's not the way he wanted to start the championship. His best hope now is that John Bauer can come from behind and be able to pull in Thomas Mazera.
Well, that would have been a heart stopper for him. Mike coming up over the hill, one of the fastest parts of the circuit, if not the fastest part. Have a tire go. He held it well, and when he got it in the dirt, he let the sideways motion plow up as much real estate as possible. That could have been a nasty moment anywhere else on the track.
Certainly could have been. There's Thomas Mazera,
Really
John Bauer, and now you've got the two Peter Jackson Falcons of Glenn Seaton and Alan Jones trailing the Holden. In fact, I mentioned earlier that about Alan's last win here, the man that started from pole back in '77. The last Ford Falcon V8 win here in a touring car was back in 1984. And that, of course, went to Dick Johnson at Surfers Paradise. That was the last time a Falcon V8 won a round of the Touring Car Championship. They've still got a little work to do. There's Alan Jones, 35, leading his team leader, Glenn Seaton, car number 30.
Glenn Seaton driving the brand new Peter Jackson Falcon. Alan Jones, of course, in the car that Glenn used at the Eastern Creek Triple Challenge.
And I think Jones is getting a little closer to John Bowe. Bowe not making an impression at this stage on Thomas Mazzera, who was very calm and very cool.
Now, Mazzera has really capitalized on that opening lap and certainly settled down to just a gap, which is enabling him to pace himself. Obviously, at the head of the field is always nice, but not having to get involved with all these other scraps that have gone on. I think John Bowe's a little bit closer to him on this lap.
Yeah, these top four are certainly closing up, and a substantial gap opening up here with Peter Brock.
Yeah, he's come good. Brocky started out of position number 10. And back behind him, we've got Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife, then Neil Crompton.
Well, that's been a bit of a shock to the system for the Winfield Commodore team. We said Mark Scaife very fast here on Friday and Saturday. They've been pushed down the order quite substantially. They've got a lot of work to do. They're going to get up toward the front as we look at the two cars out the back of Peter Brock's 05 Commodore with Mobil 1 race cam. Here the V8 working away, 7,500 RPM rev limit. Brock working very hard on a new car he hopes to have ready for Phillip Island, getting a few more races out of the existing VP before he moves into the 93 season proper. Brock in position 5th, and the two Winfield cars 6th and 7th, obviously.
Look at Scaife closing here under brakes. At Brocky, as we take our second Mobil 1 race cam.
Quick glance there to see where the opposition was. Whipping up through that Hollinger 6-speed gearbox. That's the last thing any of these drivers are worried about, with the durability that Australian designed gearbox has given them. Just another reliability factor which has made this class such exciting racing.
Lay swing out of Dunlop Loop coming up on some of the 2-litre cars. We take that Mobil 1 race cam again just to see how Mark Scaife is working away at the inside, jumping the curb there. Rocky protects his inside lane, the exit to this corner now. Scaife, as you can see, missing the back part of
looks like both the Winfield cars are missing their rear bodywork. Had a wild ride on that opening lap.
Actually, back at the head of the pack as they come across the line. And you'll find that John Bowe is getting very much closer to the lead of Thomas Mazzera. Here he comes. Mazzera, number 15, Holden Racing Team Commodore VP. Johnny Bowe in the Shell EB Falcon. That's the gap. Next will be Alan Jones as Bob Pearson, I think it is, in the Product Commodore.
There's three of
stacks
them
on the mill. Can you believe this? 52's gone into the back of him, and Finnegan has gone into the back of 52.
Terry Finnegan will be absolutely shattered. Meanwhile, look at this. John Bowe has made up an enormous amount of ground on the Holden hero, Thomas Mazzera.
Now, that's what you call slipstreaming, Marquis, right there.
Well, now is not the time to jump out of the draft down here, boys. They've got the stacks on the mill. The red flag, I think, is going to come out.
Yeah, well, we expected that. The track is virtually blocked down there. Great danger for the competitors.
Bowe hasn't seen it. As they come across the line, they see the red out now. Thomas puts the hand up.
Well, everybody's pretty anxious about red flags when they go up after the Bathurst result, and always conscious that the race may be brought to a complete stop.
Car number 6.
Well, John Smith, I think he looked for a way around the outside.
There was nothing there, John. There's a concrete wall and some tyres.
And
75. That's interesting, that. Okay, well, the red flags come out. We'll have a look at this on replay.
Terry Finnegan.
Have a look at this as we take our race cam. Is Peter Brock coming down to the bottom corner.
Whoa.
Oh,
wow.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know what that was all about. But
Mark Scaife, obviously. At Brock, I dare say what he was doing is they had the flags out.
I think Brocky saw it and was slowing, and Scaife was just in race mode and had no hope of pulling up. He veered to the left, he tried.
And he really gave the Mobil car a severe clout. There's Peter Brock back in the pits as they clear the wreckage. And you can imagine these guys are fairly pumped up, and Brock particularly just been...
Well, I can't blame Peter for that one. He was slowing under a flag. Now they're taking advantage of changing the tires they're allowed to, so that
Yeah.
Well, Marshall's now clearing up the area down there as the rest of the field goes by. Let's check them out on the Shell race score, how they run at the moment. Thomas Mazera is your race leader. John Bow in second spot. Alan Jones is third. Glenn Seaton fourth. And Peter Brock is up to fifth. The exciting conclusion of this race we'll have when we return to Amaroo Park. What could have been for Dickie Johnson, car number 17. It sits on the infield here at Amaroo Park Raceway. Remember this, Bob Pearson's car went in, 52 followed John Cotter, and right behind him came Terry Finnegan in the Foodtown Commodore. Then watch Jimmy Richards. Wow, that's into the back of Peter Brock. And there's Mark Scaife, his team partner, on the inside. Brock comes with his hand out the window. He was anything but happy about that. And in fact, I dare say that Brock was taking notice of the flags in front of him. To check out that, let's go down to the pits to Andy Raymond.
Yeah, Peter was one of the first into the pits. Peter obviously a little bit disappointed. There's confusion everywhere, though, down here as far as the tyre rule goes.
It's been sorted out. There was a red flag situation, and it was less than 75% of the race. It wasn't like we had at Bathurst where, you know, it was a completed race. So we have to restart. Now, after the red flag was out, and I was slowing down to come into the pits, I got hit by Jimmy Richards, which wrecked one of my wheels and tyres. So I said, well, for a start, that's happened after the red flag was out, so you can't penalise me. But you are allowed to change one tyre. Now, what most drivers will do now is fit on a set of old tyres that are pretty good, about the same wear as before, cold, better condition, and take advantage of the fact that we've got to restart. So I think you'll see when the flag race starts again, it'll be on. It'll be on for young and old.
And one guy who's a little bit disappointed at the red flag, Tony Longhurst.
Yeah, well, Andy, we'd worked our way up to 12th position with 100 kilos of lead we're carrying, and I thought a few more guys would have crashed. I might have got in the top 10 with a bit of luck.
It's no secret, the BMW team, yourself, Frank, and all the boys are quite upset regarding, well, the power to weight ratio and the penalty weight that you guys are carrying.
Well, this is one circuit. Here in Lakeside, we can win a race, but the way the rules have been handicapped, or the way we've been handicapped to suit the V8s, it's no point us racing. I feel very sorry for Benson Hedges, the Diet Coke team, all the effort the guys have put into the sport. And over the years, we always fight very hard and do our best. We've done that today, and we're running back with the privateers.
The 1993 season, how much are we going to see Tony Longhurst and all the guys?
Well, we've got a commitment to Benson Hedges, and the new Diet Coke team, BMW, want to be involved in the sport. But the first race of my life I've ever felt like I'd be happy not to compete this year.
And one guy with a lot of work to do is Jim Richards. And Jim, the car's had a lot of cosmetic surgery since it's been in the pits.
Well, it's just the back bumper came off at the first couple of laps. It was hit by someone from the rear. And then I hit Brocky at the start. So, yeah, it's had a new spoiler on it, but it's okay.
The team is going very well despite, I guess, a lack of pre-race build-up. Pre-race... Sorry, I've stuffed it again.
The engines fire back into life, 10 seconds away from the start, and ready, plenty of red tape there on the front of Jimmy Richards' car. At the head of the field, Thomas Mazera ready for the restart of this. John Bow starts alongside. Bow creeps just marginally, but Bow actually gets off the line better, gets away smartly. Glenn Seaton up on the inside, actually out-wrestles Alan Jones there. They are all at 6s and 7s, Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards getting away quickly too as we go to the top of Binchapave. Look at the traffic congestion. Crompton there on the GIO Commodore trying to force his path down on the inside. John Bow in front as they come out of Dunlop Loop and work their way down the back part of the course. There's Longhurst going through. He's back with the privateers as the V8s disappear downhill. And it's Johnny Bow in Dick Johnson's Shell EB Falcon that leads from Thomas Mazera.
Well, that was a great start from John Bow, and I think he was probably very happy to have an opportunity to get off the front row of the grid. It was Dick's position in the first couple of events or races, as they're turning out to be. But Mazera has recovered nicely and still running a strong second.
And keep in mind that under that red flag situation, Tim Schenken threw the pits open for tyre changes. So a lot of these guys have put new rubber on for the race as we go inside Mobil 1 with Peter Brock. Man involved in that fairly hairy incident down at the stop corner before.
Well, I think he was lucky to get out of that mark. He
Yeah.
got a hell of a thump from Jim Richards, who obviously didn't see the flags. Brocky was slowing down, was doing the right thing for the danger area, and got a punt in the backside for his trouble. But the car seems to be okay, and with fresh tires, they're out for a very fast 18 laps here now in this segment of the final race.
They come through on their way to the late corner. John Bow, car number 18, the race leader. Thomas Mazzera in second. Glenn Seaton is third, followed by Mark Scaife, Peter Brock, Alan Jones, Jimmy Richards, and then Neil Crompton just ahead of Wayne Gardner. That's the order. Across the start-finishing line, Brock trying to catch that Winfield Commodore in front of him.
Well, bear in mind, Brocky was off 10th spot, and he had quite a bit of work to get up into this position, and this is the best he's looked all weekend.
He was strong in qualifying, or in practice I should say, both Friday and Saturday, but got caught up with traffic like so many of them in the only qualifying session on Saturday afternoon. Didn't get a clear break and went back to 10th. That's how competitive it was.
Oh.
And you'll find that
Thomas Mazzera got extremely sideways coming through the core. He's had another tap.
There's another bumper bar.
More bodywork flying around. Plenty of smoke back there too.
And there's Glenn Seaton, and look at Mark Scaife up quickly on the inside and pockets. Glenn Seaton.
Now we hear that the track surface down there at that corner is starting to break up, which is probably a reason behind some of the drama down there. The driver's certainly approaching with a bit more caution now, particularly after the race-stopping incident a few laps ago.
Is where the real race is, between Glenn Seaton and Mark Scaife as they come up on the back of Thomas Mazzera to the top of Bitchapave. Peter Brock, and just look at them all just pick up the inside rear wheels.
Scaife and Seaton started their careers together working for Nissan in the Bluebird team, and a lot of miles behind them, two young lions giving it hell here today at Amaroo.
Oh, Thomas sideways coming through there. But he brings it back under control again. Seaton, now's the time to start, because John Bow has got this course down very, very well. He heads down to the late corner, and here's the battle for second.
It's just typical of John Bow's form at Amaroo Park. His team leader, Dick Johnson, has just been so luckless at this place. He's never won an Australian Touring Car Championship around here, despite his dominance of touring car racing through the 80s. And John Bow has always played a great backup to Dick Johnson. He's certainly showing it here today with the Shell team. Thomas Mazzera, the Holden hero, from earlier this morning. Mark Scaife right on his bumper bar, and Glenn Seaton, the second of the Falcons, making a Commodore sandwich.
Absolutely nothing in this. These fellows are really turning on the best they can. Mazzera's doing a superb job. Scaife is screaming away. Chewing, I think I was looking for the word, on his back bumper bar. And Glenn Seaton...
Whoa, very hard on the brakes, and there's more body contact there. The front spoiler starts to come
Look
off.
at Glenn Seaton. The Falcon comes down the outside. Now he's got to try and tuck in or either hang in here, because here comes Mark Scaife.
So Scaife got pushed backwards, but he comes back, fights again. Bodywork missing from the cunt of the car. Seaton gets the power down, snaps sideways as he tries to accelerate out of the corner. Scaife still hangs on to that position. Boy, this is fierce stuff.
Seaton's going to pick a second up here shortly. Aerodynamically, the two in front of him are hurting a little bit. So he comes up now, pushing Mark Scaife all the way. And Mazzera's car still able to respond. It was loose there a couple of corners back. It was very skatey, but he was able to bring it back. And here's the opening down on the inside, but Glenn Seaton just couldn't get down the inside of Mark Scaife.
Now this Winfield car is carrying plenty of battle damage. Front end, rear end, but Scaife still hanging in there. A gutsy drive from Scaife, bouncing the car off the curbs. He's doing everything he can to keep this Peter Jackson Falcon behind him, but boy, Seaton's car is looking great in race trim.
It's a good battle between these two, and Thomas Mazzera, to his credit, is doing a fabulous job in front of them. He's had to bring this car under control a couple of times where he's left a gap on the inside open. And in fact, Jimmy Richards is bringing Alan Jones and Peter Brock up to this group. So this one's far from over. At the stage, John Bow rampaging in front in the EB Falcon. Thomas second, Mark is third, and they're followed by Glenn.
Well, Bow really has made a tremendous break. 5.5 seconds lead he now has on Mazzera.
Well, fortunately here for the Winfield car, Mark Scaife won't know how bad his car looks. I think if he knew how horrible it looked, he probably wouldn't be able to drive it as fast as he is. Certainly an aerodynamic deficiency there, but what he doesn't know, what he can't see, isn't bothering him, and he's doing a superb job at continuing this attack on Thomas Mazzera.
Keep in mind too, this is the great tyre battle that was talked about, but will get more and more intense as the year goes on. Look, talk about intensity. Look at Seaton, there's no air between those two cars at all. But of course, Bauer running on the Dunlop tyres, Mazera on the Bridgestone, Scaife on Yokohama, and Seaton the second of the Bridgestone runners. So 3 tyre companies in an all-out war for tyre supremacy in touring car racing in '93.
Gee, they look good through there. And here's one of the 2 leader cars. Fortunately, he gets out of their way. Passport for the future, the back of Group A cars.
Well, Seaton certainly managed to keep the sheet metal straight on the Peter Jackson Falcon, which is quite a feat. Look at the damage to Scaife's car in front of him, and Richards now, with the taped-up Commodore from that early race incident, moves onto the back of Seaton's car. So very tight, competitive racing between the 2 makes.
Well, this is what this formula was forecasted to be like, but I don't think anybody could appreciate just how good it could be. And we have to remind ourselves that this is the very first weekend of a new championship. Imagine what's going to be like by the time all these cars are doing 180 miles an hour, almost 300 kilometers an hour at Bathurst.
Certainly will be. They head up the hill again. This battle between Glenn Seaton, who's dropped off the pace a little bit. And he's got Jimmy Richards and Alan Jones coming up to join him.
It's important to remember too just how quick these cars are going at this really embryonic stage of development. Scaife was able to undercut his GTR lap record on Friday by 0.2 of a second. These things are really quick.
That's saying a lot.
Yes, it sort of puts paid a little to the criticism of the dark age technology. But these cars have come out and fired up to be as fast as they are so early, as Alan mentioned. To the late corner again. Thomas Mazera going through. He runs in second. Next is Mark Scaife, Glenn Seaton, Jimmy Richards, Alan Jones. That's the order as they go beneath the start-finishing line. The tower here at Amaroo Park Raceway and heading up Pitcher Pave Hill.
And these fellows can't even see John Bow anymore, Mike. He's well and truly disappeared into the sunset.
Just monitoring the gap there, he's pumped it out to 6.5 seconds over Mazera, so Bauer is just putting in an immaculate drive here, particularly while these 3, of course, are fighting amongst themselves. It always tends to slow them down.
It's making life easier for him, for sure. Brake duct blowing around in the breeze there, got disconnected from Mark Scaife's car. He may feel the pinch on that with one side get running cooler than the other towards the end of the race.
Keep in mind too, and I think that might be, can't see the number there, it's one of the older VL Commodores, stuffed into the earth being fairly hard. He seems to be okay. Glenn Mason, one of the 42. Privateers in Amaroo this Sunday, and he's okay.
We take our 7 Sport race cam. This is riding with Tony Longhurst in the BMW. Coming up, to give you an idea of how quickly he closes at the top of Pitcher Pave.
He's got one of the Commodores up in front of him. Looks like the Ashby Reed Lansvale Smasher car. And here's another view of the action.
This is Wayne Gardner, car number 16, working on Peter Brock. And here he comes down the inside as Brocky gets off the racetrack.
Whoop, Brock's off on the rough, gathers it up. That was, Brock was in position 7th, so Gardner takes 7 from him. Brocky drops back to 8th. And really, this is a very impressive performance from Wayne Gardner in his first touring car race.
Race leader John Bow, the unmistakable sound of the Falcon V8. Down to the left-hander at Tui's, and John Bow leads comfortably. Thomas Mazera in second spot, followed of course by Mark Scaife. This battle still rages for second.
Raging's the word, Mike. 4 cars locked in battle. You couldn't get more evenly matched than this. 2 Commodores, 3 Commodores, and a Falcon tucked in there.
6 laps remain. They're coming up on Peter Dillman, who is the 2-litre class leader today and winner. Watch them pull out of the draft as they come up to Peter. He'll hang across to the outside of the circuit, which he does. Lets the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th run through there.
Here's Mazera under pressure.
Rocky in for tyres by the look of it. They have a problem there. His tyres have gone off, and of course he got out to the rough. He's torn the front air dam around as well. Oh, there's Bob Jones. The Ampol Max to the max, said Bob, and there goes Alan Jones.
I wonder if someone's
He's trying to bring the front
Jones
round again and drop the clutch.
He'll get back in as fast as he can.
In the meantime, as you can see, Thomas Mazzera has fallen. Here is a draft.
3 wide, more than 3. Plenty of fisticuffs going on here. Mazzera has been pushed back 3 positions. He won't be happy about that. Unbelievable. 3 cars wide coming under brakes into that corner. Accelerate up to 200 kilometres an hour as they come up through the kink.
Mazzera's car was looking a little iffy under brakes coming down the short chute, and he may have had a lock up there that we just didn't get on camera. But certainly the Winfield boys have taken advantage of an opportunity and slingshotted themselves up the ladder board.
Peter Brock rejoins in 17th place after that tyre stop. So Glenn Seaton's been left high and dry in that little manoeuvre.
Well, Mark Scaife had worked away at Thomas Mazzera for probably about 10 laps, put plenty of pressure on him. Glenn Seaton was up there amongst them on a couple of occasions, but just seems to have been in the wrong place at the wrong time today. 4 laps to go, and the battle for second continues. Mark Scaife, teammate Jim Richards, and Glenn Seaton. They head up the hill as we take our race cam, our Apollo race cam, Neil Crompton in the Sydney Holden dealer network into the bottom corner, position 13. Was forced off the track by Wayne Gardner. They had a little coming together, and Peter Brock has run into troubles here with 05. He parks to the left on the way to the lake corner. Was trying to keep it running, but he's pulled out and sits there.
Looks like a broken axle, Mike.
Yeah.
The wheel was turning, but the car wasn't propelling itself.
John Bower with a very good lead, almost the length of the short straight that brings them up towards the hill again. 3 laps to go. The battle for second, Scaife, Richards, and of course Glenn Seaton.
It's a good performance from the Freddie Gibson Motorsport team.
Oh, fabulous performance. They came into race mode late.
Keep in mind, Jim Richards' car was only completed, I think, 48 hours before the Eastern Creek Triple Challenge. The second car was only completed a day before practice here. So these cars, you couldn't get more brand spanking new than this. And I'm sure with the intense development program Fred will put them through, these cars will just get faster and faster.
They don't look too new to me.
Yeah, second hand all of a sudden.
Well, it won't take long to fix them, but it's amazing how competitive Mark is out there with that smashed up front that he's carrying around at the moment. But anybody that's parked it here today, certainly Brocky will be disappointed. And Dick, who went out earlier not to get points.
Thomas Mazzera in the pits, the HRT Commodore up on the jacks.
That's as good as stopped as well, and he might be able to get back into the race, but certainly not a high point scorer.
It's amazing the changing fortunes in this level of competition. Mazzera has really been on fire, certainly through qualifying, and the Peter Jackson dash for cash earlier today.
Still about 1.5 laps remaining.
I get the idea here, Mike, that Jim Richards isn't actually just following Mark Scaife. I think if there's an opportunity here, he might just be
every man for
capitalizing on any disadvantage that Mark is feeling.
Well, he's trying to get down the inside, is he? But Mark's closing the options off. No team tactics at play here, I wouldn't think. John Bower is about to go across and take the last lap board, which he does now. As we follow in the battle for second, Mark Scaife, Jim Richards, and if there is a mover, look at car number 16, Wayne Gardner. He's picked this whole group up as they head up to the top. And look at just see who's on the door here of Glenn Seaton.
Bower's able to lead up to 10 seconds, but this is where the action is.
Now here's Glenn. He goes the inside of this lap car, and so too does Gardner.
Gardner's such a gutsy competitor. He's going to hang on here right to the death.
This has been a run and a half. In the meantime, as they disappear out of that corner, we come downhill to the left-hander through Tooheys and the run to the lake corner. Gee, we've seen a close one. Last corner coming up. Ford Falcon is going to strike victory here today. John Bower of Tasmania brings the Dick Johnson number 18 car across the line, and he takes the win.
second spot, and it will be close as they come streaking across the line now. It'll be Mark Scaife just getting there.
Jim Richards in
Jimmy
third.
Richards, then followed by Glenn Seaton and Wayne Gardner. Let's check them out for you on the Shell race score. John Bow, the race winner, well done in the Shell Falcon EV. Mark Scaife second in the Winfield Commodore. Third was Jimmy Richards. Fourth, Glenn Seaton. And fifth, 16, Wayne Gardner, a bottler.
Welcome back to Amaroo Park. What a fabulous performance from the spectators here today. Peter Dillman, the winner of the 2 litre class, drove exceptionally well, and you're up in the points.
Yes, thanks Mike. It's a great pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to thank Channel 7 and the ARDC for their effort, and we're pleased to win today.
Good on you, and we look forward to seeing you on the trail. Peter Dillman, our 2 litre winner. Third overall in the series today. The first round goes to a Falcon EB driver. The driver's name is Mr. Glenn Seaton. I think we've got a few Ford fans here, Glenn.
Yeah, I think so. I think this class is really going to take off. I think people really want to see it.
Well, congratulations. I think you'd like to have been a little closer up there, but there's always Simmons Plains.
That's right. We'll be back. Don't discount us yet because Simmons Plains will be back. And thank you to my sponsors, Peter Jackson and also Bridgestone, for fantastic tyres.
Well done, Glenn. Second place goes to a fellow who copped a pretty raw show on the Bathurst balcony. Let's hear it for Mark Scaife, second overall. You're my man of the match. Well done, great driving.
Thanks, Mike. But, you know, for our first run with the car, everybody at Winfield Racing and Yokohama and Gibson Motorsport, well done for their first run. You know, that's as good as we could go. Little Commodore's all right.
Fabulous stuff. Mark Scaife. And the winner in points of the opening round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship from Tasmania, Mr. John Bow of the Falcon. Congratulations, fabulous drive. I think they like to see a Ford win.
Well, you know, the Falcon's back. That's great, isn't it? I must commend the team, Dick Johnson's Shell team, that only got Dick's car running late this week, and Ross Stone and all the guys that work for him. Thank you very much. It was a great effort, and thank you for Dunlop, because those tyres hung in really well.
Tommy Smith from the Shell Company. Tom, if you'd like to put the garland over. There we go. Okay, Johnny Bow, the winner. We hope you've enjoyed the racing today from Amaroo Park across the 7 network. And don't forget that we will be back at Simmons Plains in a fortnight's time. Okay, thanks guys.